Hello, good morning, and welcome to the replay. I am Louise, healer and therapeutic leader of Peace and Presence Healing, and I'm joining you live from my Facebook group this morning. So this is your fortnightly dose of insight with Louise, and today we are going to look at how sensitivities show up for you. And this group is predominantly for you sensitive souls. We spoke a couple of weeks ago about being an empath, and today we're going to speak about the other aspects of being a sensitive soul and how our senses can be overstimulated in the terms of our environmental factors. So I'm first going to talk a little bit about my growing up. But before I do, I just want to say, please can you comment, please can you like, please can you share, and make sure you subscribe to whichever platform you are watching this on. Good morning, my lovelies. Hello. So I'm just going to touch a little bit about how I grew up and how I became a sensitive soul, or maybe I'm naturally a sensitive soul, but I didn't probably become aware of it until probably my teens, I would say. So one of my first memories is walking day. And if you live in the UK, we have usually around May, June time, we have these parades where we walk, maybe to do with church, and we walk around the streets. I'm assuming they still do that, and I would have a dress that I would wear each year, specifically for this. And I just have one particular memory of walking through the streets, and you would hold like a ribbon or a banner or something like that and have like a sign or something like that. And one of the things that used to really go through my skin and really overstimulate me was the sound of drums. And this is something that has been brought to my mind again this year, because I had a similar experience where I felt really uncomfortable and my sensory system was at overload. So the drums, I could feel them vibrating in my body, and I could feel and remember the cringe, the kind of, it was kind of like, I don't like that feeling, but I didn't know how to get out of that. I don't remember whether I was crying at it or whether, I just remember the vibration was what I didn't like, that. And I think the sound as well, the sound was overwhelming and overpowering. That's my first kind of memory of finding an oversensitivity to something. But there's a lot of our senses, because we've got our sight, we've got our smell, we've got our taste, we've got our touch, we've got our hearing. So most people can get through life and they are easily maintained in their sensory aspects. But for some of you, you might find that you are overstimulated in these areas. Now, there's a lot of children that I have previously worked with that maybe if they're autistic, they are quite sensitive, and the stimulation is similar. Now, but you don't have to have autism to be overstimulated. You could be a highly sensitive person. So I want you to have a little think about what aspects of your life do you find overstimulating and maybe overwhelming that causes you distress. So maybe if you watch on the replay as well, maybe you want to put in the comments, is there some sensory aspect? Is there some taste? Is there some sort of smells? Is there something that touch, maybe fabrics on the skin? So I'm going to give some more examples of some of the people that I work with, because as an empath, I attract people who I just seem to attract a lot of people that are very sensitive, and this is my soul calling, to work with you people. So in particular, I work with, as a nanny, I work with mainstream children at the minute and the nanny the boys, but one of the boys is really sensitive and emotionally sensitive, but he's also sensitive sometimes to fabrics. The fabrics, if things are not particular, if they're not how he likes them as well, so like labels. I know my sister used to hate labels on clothing. They used to be quite irritating, and this little boy as well finds labels and the fabrics that are man-made, if you think about the man-made fabrics, they're not really what the skin really desires. And our natural products are cotton, and what I love is bamboo. These are really lovely fabrics that we can use as alternatives. So I know some people, I know there's children I've worked with in the past, don't even like the feel or the sensation of socks on. A lot of children walk around wearing no clothes because these are not natural fabrics for us to be having on our skin. I would say my partner, he is very sensitive to smell. Overly sensitive to smell, to the point that it kind of stresses him out. He becomes quite anxious. And I want you to have a think about now, when you go to a supermarket, or whether you go to a crowded place. This is one of mine as well. I don't really like lots and lots of people, and it's something I've probably built up resilience over the years to being around crowds. But it's kind of that fight or flight. You want to get out of there. You want to kind of find an escape from what's going on. So what else have we got? Sounds. Now, this morning I've been opening, closing drawers upstairs. Straight away downstairs, my other half is very much, what's that noise? And he's on edge. He's very edgy. He's very irritated by sounds, and it is the over piercing of the sounds. So does any of this make any sense to some of you? And a lot of people who are maybe empaths might find that they've got more sensitivities in these areas. So we've done the feel of things, we've done the sound of things, the taste. Yeah, really, taste is interesting one. This, I'm going to go back to the boy that I work with currently. He's very much into salt at the minute, overly stimulated with salt, but he likes that, so it's a good thing for him in the minute. But I'm trying to say, like, you don't need all this salt, but his taste buds are really particular in that area. Now, also taste is also about people's allergies as well. And again, people directly around me find that food is intolerant, whether that be sugar, and sugar, maybe processed foods and things like that, because when people eat these that are sensitive, this has an adverse effect, that it shows up in the body, and the body obviously tells us what it likes and what it doesn't like. So people have irritations on the body, the skin, and this is when other physical ailments show up, and it could be wheat, it could be different tolerances in the food. I'm not too well up on the food things, because I in particular don't suffer with food. I can quite eat easily on a lot of things. Trying to think if there's anything in particular food wise. I think red wine. I notice red wine, my face becomes quite hot and blushed with red wine. So it is about observing what your body is saying to you when you absorbing these substances, and obviously alcohol. I would say alcohol in particular, I find that I used to really get hyperactive from alcohol, like the day after. It was like my hangover turned into hyperactivity, and it was like I was on speed. Not that I've ever taken drugs, but it was just like I was so overactive. And because the alcohol, it changes the way your body's operating. Again, I don't know the medical side of what happens, but if you think about it, you're altering the natural state of the body with something it is a stimulant, isn't it, in some ways, and it can cause adverse reactions. But I was so hyperactive the day after, and because it's ungrounding your energy, it's taking you to a higher energy space, out of your body a little bit more. So like tomorrow I'm doing a Reiki attunement. I'm bringing a lovely lady into the healing world to become a Reiki level 1 practitioner. So in particular for food, for the next from yesterday, today, tomorrow and Saturday, I'm not going to be eating meat because I want that clean vessel so that I can make sure I'm attuning the energies, I'm tapping into the natural universal energies without any toxins in the body. So that's one way that I cleanse my body, making sure that I don't have any unnatural products as much as I can in the body. So we talked about food there. Please put in the comments, let me know, does anybody have anything that they feel they're quite sensitive to that really shows up for them, can cause them discomfort or overstimulate, that maybe stresses them emotionally or physically? I'd love to hear. So I did mention at the beginning about sounds. I mentioned then about the draw then for my partner. And it's quite fascinating. There's probably more people than you realise actually are sensitive to our 5 senses of things. Visuals. And if you think about when you go to the cinema, we've got the big screen at the cinema, and some of them, the flashing lights can cause episodes of epilepsy maybe for people. So those sensitivities show up with a physical aspect. So you're always going to have a physical or an emotional or a spiritual aspect to the sensitivities. And this is the body's way of saying we need to bring ourselves back into alignment and to reset ourselves. So it is becoming aware of what your body is telling you, and you might not know what them sensitivities are. So for some people who get migraines, there's maybe triggers that have created that migraine in the first place. I vaguely remember people who've had migraines that I've worked with saying that cheese is something, but also stress can be. But there's always maybe, you've got to think about what's going into the body. How are we absorbing? And like I say, it's not always the food, it's how are we absorbing from our environmental factors. And this is where nature comes in, because nature can reset you very easily into that natural state. And we didn't always live in houses, we didn't always have technology. If we think about what's going on in the home, the noise. One thing I really find in particular is I don't like not necessarily shouting, but when there's too much noise. And there's only 2 of us that live in my house, and I think noise is quite one, it must be one of my high sensitives really, because when I just want a little bit of peace and quiet, I get agitated and I'm just like, leave me alone. I want to be left alone, and I kind of retreat into my room a little bit. And that's the same with one of the little boys I work with. They retreat, and it's like, when they've been to school all day and you're absorbing the energies of everybody at school. And in particular, Monday, Tuesday this week, he came home and I could see the change in his facial expressions. I could change the tone of his voice, and he just went into his room and he was a lot quieter. And I just think that I've been overexerted, that requests of asking them things to do, and the friends, the energy they're picking up off the friends, their little bodies are just like, I don't know how to cope with this, and to go into the room and retreat. And I was that child as well. I would go and just want to spend time on my own. I'm trying to think of any other things now. So again, some of you might have more physical illnesses that are showing up, and there's always going to be a factor of where things originate from, triggers maybe, or maybe you don't actually know what these triggers are. There's a lot of people with physical symptoms that don't actually know why they're suffering in these ways, and there's usually a trigger, but we've got to go on a deeper level emotionally and physically to unravel those triggers. So for me, I suffer with tension, stress, headaches, and it's not always stress and tension. I can find that it's sleep as well can have an impact if we're not getting enough quality sleep, or sometimes if I get too much sleep. It's all about listening to what the body's saying to you, and when to take steps to tap into some healing, some mindfulness, some meditation, some movement, The body needs different things for each person. And it is quite tricky to unravel because we're all unique. And it takes a little bit of understanding and just being patient with yourself and listening to what your body's saying. I have loved some of the messages that have been popping up in the group. Although they are about things that you are struggling with, it's showcasing that there's areas of our lives where we need to pay attention, and when things show up, I'm kind of going off track a little bit here, but when things don't always go to plan, and you think maybe people are showing up in different ways, and the universe is pulling away from us, it feels like, and making life a little bit more challenging, that's when we're being asked to identify, where do you need to put your focus, where do you need to put your attention at the moment? And it might be that you're overstimulated in an area, and the universe is pushing that overstimulation a little bit more for you. And it could be that you're mentally overstimulated, or emotionally. Maybe there's things going on in life that your strings are being pulled, but you're being pulled in a particular reason and way, so that you address that and you start to think about how you can unravel that. And I've been watching a lot of, I watched some random YouTube stuff about people who've crossed over to the other side and who have come back to life again. So they've experienced dying, and they've had like a realisation that there's more to life than what they realise, and the struggles that we're having are not for no reason. The reason is that we have things that we've got to learn. And I vaguely remember maybe 12, 13 years ago, mentally signing up saying, I will accept any challenges that come forward in life. I'm thinking, what the hell was I doing saying yes to this? And we've all got different challenges that come forward. And what my challenge is to me might not seem a challenge to you. So we've all got to experience things. And so when these sensitivities show up, my angels are here right now. She's just popped in and tickled my head. And I've not felt her for a little while. So listening to your inner wisdom is what's going to help you to get through these challenges. I feel very much my throat is coming forward now. So I am supposed to get my message across to you, my communication of what struggles I'm coming across with other people, with myself, because talking is a really important aspect of healing. And when you acknowledge, just by verbally acknowledging your struggles, you're helping not only yourself, but you're helping other people. This feels really powerful, this motion. And I want to go to the conga. When we do the conga, we're working in synchronization with each other. We're following a path, and that path feels good. We might not know why we're doing the conga, but we're doing the conga. But in that, I don't know how to compare this, but when we're doing it in our healing life, we're releasing, we're letting go, and we're getting people on board to say, this is what feels good for now. Let's talk about it. Let's share what we're experiencing, what we're struggling, and we can get through this together. So please, please, please do share in this group. And I'm not offering any magical solution to anything. I'm offering you that connection. And I feel quite fuzzy-headed right now, because what's really important at times is bringing yourself back into the moment. Bringing your body, your mind and your soul into the present, and finding your tribe is important. Feeling that you're part of something. And from that, you can then share what is bothering you. And that's unravelling one small layer of your healing. I'm going to put my feet on the floor. I need to go and have something to eat, because I know I'm feeling a little bit ungrounded here. So it's important. Food is important. Where you're going in your environmental factors and how you're absorbing the five senses the sixth senses, if you call, into your spiritual side as well, and becoming aware of them so that you can take steps. And whatever them steps may be isn't what I'll tell everybody to do. And I won't tell anybody to do anything, sorry, because I can only share what I feel is right for someone in one moment. And the same person might come to me and say, I've got the similar symptoms or similar experiences, but you might need to do something different. But one thing I'm just going to say is communication and being part of a tribe is something we all can be part of, but then them steps forward after that will be unique to you. I'm going to love you and leave you there. If you want to pop some details in the comments, share something that means something to you in terms of where you're going on your healing journey, or what overstimuli or sensitivities show up for you. Maybe you've got some tips that you want to share with other people that can help them, or suggestions that might help them with their path as well. So we're going to start looking over the next few weeks a little bit of different ways of how you can start to cope with things, how you can manage these internal interferences from your external world. And I'm going to start pulling things together a little bit. Not sure how that's going to materialise. We're going to go and see how that does. But if you've got some ideas or topics that you want to talk about or explore, I do want to read some things from books and get some kind of different viewpoints in. So if you've got any suggestions of books to read as well, that would be fantastic. So I'm going having some food, taking my car for MOT, and then I'm preparing to do a Reiki attunement tomorrow, bringing a beautiful soul into her healing path, and she's one of our members of this group. And we've got 2 beautiful days ahead of us, connecting in with the universal energy and awakening that inner healing that you've already got within. So have a beautiful day. Thank you for listening to me. I'll speak to you all soon. Take care.